Now again, this problem is relating to base erosion concept. You need to identify whether transfer pricing provisions would be applicable on the following transactions. Like we discussed in one of the earlier case studies, the purpose of base erosion is to ensure that if a transaction is adjusted for an arm's length price, would that reduce the taxable income in India by either reducing the revenue or by increasing the expense. So whenever any TP is to be applied which increases the expense for the assessee or reduces the revenue, then base erosion is applicable and those transfer pricing adjustments cannot be done. Let's look at each of these transactions to see what is their impact and will transfer pricing provisions be applied or not. Interest-free loan given to Indian company by its parent. So suppose there is a foreign company and there is an Indian company. This entity has given an interest-free loan to the subsidiary. Interest-free loan means there is no interest which is paid. Now in such a case, if interest is actually paid, what would it do for the Indian company? It will increase its expenses. If the expenses are increased, then the taxable income will be reduced and therefore base erosion concept will apply and TP provision cannot be applied in this case. Second is interest-free loan given by Indian company to its wholly owned subsidiary in Japan. Now the tables have turned. So there is an Indian company which actually owns a company in Japan and it has given an interest-free loan to this company. It is currently not charging any interest, which means the income of Indian company is low. If you apply TP and you say no, you should actually charge 10% interest, that will increase the taxable income of the Indian company and its taxable profit. Therefore, the transfer pricing provisions will be applicable in this case. Free laptops provided by Alpha USA to its associated enterprise B Limited. Yeah, there's a little bit of a mess up here in language. To its associated enterprise B Limited. Now when the US company provided free laptop to B Limited, what does this mean? The cost of the asset for tax purpose is equal to 0, which means there is nil depreciation on this. If you say that no, Alpha USA should charge an arm's length price, what is going to happen is this Indian entity B Limited will be entitled to depreciation, resulting in the reduction in taxable profit and therefore a loss of tax to the Indian government. Therefore, in this case also TP provisions cannot be applied under the base erosion concept. Machinery provided by Beta Pty Singapore to its wholly owned subsidiary in exchange of BPO services provided by the wholly owned subsidiary. What we are assuming is that this wholly owned subsidiary is actually in India. Now when the Singapore company actually provides machinery to the Indian company and the Indian company provides services, it's only that the consideration has been discharged in kind. That does not mean that these transactions are not taxable. If these transactions are taxable, then the price should be computed as per the arm's length price concept, which means you need to ascertain what is the fair value of services provided by the Indian company. If these are provided, so let's say if 100 was to be charged for services and the actual revenue which is charged is 80, then 20 will be the transfer pricing adjustment which will be done. But if 100 is the fair price and 120 was to be charged, right, then in that case 20 is the upward increase which will be done in the services income, and this entire money will be charged to tax upfront. The reason between why TP should be applied here is that when you talk about the services, if there is an increase in service price which results out of transfer pricing, this tax is payable immediately. On this 20 of increase, tax has to be paid immediately. But when you talk about machinery, it's a capital asset, so the impact will be only to the extent of depreciation. And the second adjustment could be that if base erosion applies and therefore the price is retained at 100 over here, and if the fair value of machine is 80, then you might have a situation where revenue is taken as 100 while the cost of the machinery for depreciation purpose is only taken at 80. And therefore it becomes important to apply transfer pricing in this case. We have a detailed solution to this which you can refer to, but I guess this is the point that you need to understand. The rest is about drafting, which is the most important thing in international tax. International tax involves a lot of writing. So basically, when you move from being a chartered accountant to the actual line, one of the things that is going to actually decide whether you are a good professional career from an international tax perspective is how well you can write. And that is one aspect you should work on. It's a very, very lucrative field. The amount of money that an average professional in international tax makes is at least twice the amount of money that would be paid to a corresponding person. And second is, there's a lot of acceptability globally if you're an expert in international tax across various locations. So in today's time, if you were to look out for some work overseas, there is a good possibility that you can get good amount of work in this particular area which can be outsourced to India, because it's a universal concept that is applicable. So please understand, please improve upon your writing skill, and you will be definitely doing very well in this particular area.